Hola chicos, es la unidad número 2 del libro de texto Plazas. La unidad número 2 se llama En una clase de español. Vamos a aprender la clase de español. I'm going to share the screen. Libro de texto Plazas. Libro y lugar de encuentros Plazas. We're doing unit 1 en una clase de español, but it's chapter 1, but it's unit 2. Unidad 2. So, una clase de español tenemos communicative goals, which you should be looking at it in Blackboard also. How do you identify people, colors, things in the classroom, and communicate about everyday activities, telling time and days of the week. Vocabulario 1 en la clase de español de la profesora Muñoz. Notice we have sound again, so you can listen to the words and be able to comprehend better, okay? When you do listening activities, it's always best to pay attention. I know sometimes it goes fast, but it's good to help. En la sala de clase de la profesora Muñoz. In this section again, you will identify people and things. Notice that there are new words we are learning as pizarra, las luces, plural, or la luz, singular. Notice the difference in spelling the words. El calendario, la pantalla. So again, many words for you to learn. Take time to write them down because that's the best way to learn Spanish and be successful in a foreign language course. To learn the spelling and word definitions. Students don't realize this, but the reason why they fail in a lot of activities or courses is because they don't take time to learn the word definitions. Here are more words for us to learn. Otras cosas, other things. La bandera, el dinero, which probably knew that one, right? And otras personas, other people. When you write down your words, categorize them like they present them to you in the textbook. Bandera, dinero, otras cosas, and otras personas. Notice that in Spanish, we say el amigo or la amiga because words in Spanish have gender, femenino y masculino. So all words in Spanish have gender. And we need to know how to find the gender of the word, which we'll learn today. Compañero de clase, la compañera de cuarto. Difference in these two is classmate and roommate. Compañero means your partner, or the mate, partner. But de clase, it's class, or roommate, cuarto. Hombre, mujer, novio, la novia. Again, I say this. It's important that you learn the words and see if they have gender. Because if they end in O and A, they have gender. But if they end in E, there's no gender on that word. Well, there is gender, sorry. It's always going to be masculine. They're not going to be A. Only identify the feminine with the article, which we will look at in a moment. You see here, la profesora, el profesor, masculino and femenino. So another lesson in this Unidad 2 is vocabulario, well, we already did vocabulario 1, estructura 1 es gramática, la gramática de artículos, dos grupos de artículos, artículos definidos, definite articles, y artículos indefinidos, indefinite articles. We're going to also talk about telling gender in the nouns. As I mentioned before, artículos definidos, it's el, la, los, las, singular y plural. Notice this chart. Indefinite articles are una, unas, plural. Un, singular, unos, plural. Una, singular, unas, plural. So make sure you identify both categories and do not mix them up. Words use articles. Sentences have to have an article in front of it. Whereas in English, you don't always use an article to start a sentence. Spanish do. Okay? Notice there are some exemptions. You see here, problema ends in A, but it's masculine. el problema. Cometa ends in a, but it's masculine because all words that end in ma and ta, like they say here in this rule, are going to be masculine. So read over this rules, grammar rules, to make sure you do not miss any of them. Besides telling gender in the words, you can also learn that plural is formed just like in English. You add s to the words that end in a vowel. You simply add s and you make it plural. But if words end in a consonant, you have to add es. Make sure you pay attention to that grammar rule. Okay. Besides Estructura Uno, we have the cultural reading part in the textbook. Remember, every unit has a cultural section. Unidad Uno was El Mundo Hispano. Now, Unidad Dos is Estados Unidos. And we're going to talk about Estados Unidos. Los hispanos en Estados Unidos hablan español. So, reading this information and watching the video here will help you complete the video discussion that you have in Blackboard. Every unit, you have to submit a video discussion. Find it in Blackboard. In your unit 2. Well, each unit has one. Vocabulario 2 es el campo y los cursos universitarios. El campus, y los cursos universitarios. Some people will say campo instead of campus. Notice there are cognate words that you're looking at, like facultad. It sounds like an English word, and it's spelled like an English word, facultad. That's why it's called cognate, because it sounds or it's spelled like an English, but it does not have the same idea. Don't get fooled by these cognate words, okay? Facultad means departamento, department, education department, or law department, facultad de derecho, or de ciencias. Notice all of these are centro estudiantil. We have one in A&T, centro estudiantil. We have biblioteca, we have cafeteria. Notice cafeteria, it's usually a place where people drink coffee and sweets or desserts. It's not always for food, but in the school environment, it will be a place where the students eat their lunch, right? Residencia, even though it's in the dorm, it also means, residence also means a place where you live, right? In English, in Spanish too, residencia. It's not dormitorio, okay? Some people get fooled by this word and say dormitorio. Dormitorio, it's bedroom, not necessarily a dorm room, okay? We do not say dormitorio for dorm room. The next page also has more words, and I want you again, write them down so you learn these definitions in Espanol. Más cursos y especializaciones, okay? Here's what I was just saying about the false cognate. Cursos y especializaciones, arte, computación, economía, derecho, geografía. You make sure you know what your courses are in Spanish. Learn the definition in Spanish for your own courses. Especializaciones is majors, okay? Lenguas extranjeras, foreign languages, alemán, chino, español, francés. These are all languages, okay? But they could also very well be the nationality adjective. And I will touch on that in our next unit. Besides the vocabulario 2, we also have another grammar lesson, gramática de los verbos. So in this unit, Unidad 2, la clase de español, you will learn to conjugate verbs. And it's important that you pay attention to the video tutorial that you have in your homework in Cengage. Okay, MindTap has video tutorials, so make sure you watch them, take notes to learn these important grammar rules, which will be covered in your unit quizzes. Every week you have unit quizzes, 2 quizzes per unit. So when we conjugate verbs in Spanish, we simply drop the ending. You know, every verb has an ending, and there are only 3 categories for verbs in Spanish, okay? 3 categories that they end. Look, they're here, AR, ER, and IR verbs. 3 different categories. So when you conjugate, you simply drop the ending. And step number 2 is add an ending. What ending are you going to add? Well, the personal ending that we learned, right? We learned that there are subjects, 6 different subjects that we learned in Unit 1 are here presented. Hablar, here are presented to you again. And so you've memorized the subject pronouns because that's what I ask you to do, memorize them. And once you memorize them, you'll be able to add the correct ending for each verb. Because the hablar AR verb will have an ending that you will add as you find the correct subject. Make sure you pay attention to this. Make notes. Make notes on using the present tense verb conjugations. Here are all the rules about this conjugation and what it expresses. Okay, our last lesson for this unit is Así se dice, and it's another gramática, lección de gramática, which is la hora, telling time, días de la semana, days of the week. ¿Qué hora es? It's important that we notice that there are 2 different kind of questions we normally ask. We normally ask, ¿qué hora es? Which means, what time is it? Okay, I was trying to mark this. ¿Qué hora es? That's the question that we're asking right now. ¿Qué hora es? But when you answer this question, you're going to answer it in 2 different ways. Okay? 2 different ways that you can answer is, es la una, if it's only 1 hour. If only 1 hour has passed from 12 o'clock, then you'll say es la una. But if more than 1 hour has gone by, then you'll say son, plural. Es is singular, son is plural. And we learned this when we talked about the verb ser in our first unit. Now, the other question that I was mentioning before that we have when we're learning about la hora, telling time, it's the question that we have, ¿a qué hora? And it's right here. ¿A qué hora? It's implying at what time. In English, we don't say at what time, we say what time. We simply say what. That's how we start the sentence. But in Spanish, you always need at to ask the question, at what time does the event start? And you also answer with a to express at what time it started. Okay, ¿a qué hora es la clase de matemáticas? A las 11 de la mañana. Notice how both are using a. And so that's a different story, right? Different idea. It's not asking what time is it. It's asking at what time is the class. Make sure you do not get confused with this too, because a lot of students often get confused with this too. And then also pay attention to how to say if it's 7:15, you say son las 7:15, 7:15, or you can also say 7:15. Okay. And then media, it's 7:30, or 10 till 8, son las 8 menos 10, 8 o'clock minus 10 minutes. That's what this one is saying. And at the bottom of this lesson, you'll see more words, which you will also need to write them down to learn them. More words that will express to you time expressions. Tiempo, en punto, ahora, tarde, temprano, medianoche, mediodía. These time expressions will be very useful through the rest of the semester. And then you have the days of the week, right? Día es hoy. ¿Qué día es hoy? What's today's date? And then finally, other important words for or expressions to talk about days of the week are semana, fin de semana, weekend, fin de semana. In English, you have one word, weekend. In Spanish, we have 2 words, fin de semana. And then todos los días, every day. Hoy, today, mañana, which is tomorrow, right? So we want to make sure we take the time again to learn our word definitions because that's the way you're going to be successful in Spanish, learning word definitions. You can use the practice and a conversar activities here in these 2 pages because they'll always help you to prepare for the exams. But at the end of the chapter, you also have a review section called a repasar, and you can easily print these pages. There's 2 pages here with activities and information that will help you prepare for quizzes and exams, as every unit has 2 quizzes. And the last section here, vocabulario esencial, is your list of vocabulario for this unit. It's a lot of words. You can see them here. Again, you can also print it, but the best way is to write it down because that's how you will learn your definitions. You can also listen to it and it's categorized, but it's very good for us to be successful in the Spanish course. Nos vemos, chicos. Adiós.